He comes from a lineage of great sages, yogis, and saints from India. He began his spiritual journey at the age of 7 and was fully realized by the age of 14. During this time, he delved into different practices and acquired mastery over Tantra, Mantra, Yantra, Aghori practices, and Yaksha sadhana. He was a siddha, and many masters, saints, and sages used to visit him in solitude to gain wisdom and guidance from him since the tender age. Although he has been helping humanity since childhood, he never disclosed this part of him to the world, and only the advanced yogis and masters were aware of his divine presence. Only in the last 2 years he chose few people from the world and started guiding them in their spiritual paths, and those who have been closely associated with him have witnessed many miracles in his presence. Despite being a family person, he is a yogi and intends to help people entangled in this world achieve Jivan Mukti, liberation while being alive. He is truly in the world but not of the world, and if you really want to understand him, look him beyond his physical appearance and just sit with him, and you will never be the same again. In his presence you will transcend your body and mind and experience the state of Sat, absolute truth, Chit, pure consciousness, Ananda, eternal bliss. Let us fold our hands in front of his divinity and with a heart filled with gratitude and love welcome our spiritual guru, the realized soul, and our enlightened master, Guru Meenakshi Mishra.
Om. Akhandamandalakaram Vyaptayena Charachara Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Tasmai Shri Sadashivaya Namaha. Tasmai Shri Tatpurushaya Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Aham Brahmasmi. So good morning everyone, and good evening to the people from the other parts. So welcome to a beautiful day, a beautiful space and a beautiful satsang, just like all of you. जैसे आप वैसे आपके satsang. So are we ready? So what's the topic? So anybody? What is the topic for this day? I'm still waiting. Somebody's writing? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Okay. A beautiful revelation of not only just a human being, but the incarnation of the God in a beautiful form. So here we are to tell you some of his Leelas, very well known, very well known. And then how would I start is a very typical way. Rather than starting with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I will be starting with something that Alivaji will jump from the train for some time, and that seems like. So we'll start with the story of Sakshi Gopal. Okay, and why I'm saying that we will come to know in the later half. Why I'm starting this story with this, and then I will narrate it. So if people, those who travel from the city of Cuttack towards Puri, towards the very outskirts of Cuttack and nearing like Puri, there is a place called as Sakshi Gopal. Sakshi Gopal is a beautiful place where if you go, you will find cute little idol of Krishna. Very, very beautiful. And all the people, those who generally visit that, they stop by that place and they go to the temple, and yeah, it has a very different aura. Not a very big temple, yeah, still good one. But if you go there, you will realize it. But the story is more moving than the temple itself. Now, how this idol got and from where it came from. So the folklore goes like, the story goes like, there was a young man in the village of that village. Earlier it was not known as Sakshi Gopal, but later on it came to be known as that place. And it is also very famous for coconuts. Okay. So there was this young man and who fell in love with the headman's daughter of that village. And when he fell in love with the headman's daughter, he thought like, okay, I should get married. But the headman was not agreeing to that because the boy was pretty poor and comes from very small little family. So he was not agreeable to that. He denied, but this fellow has great devotion towards Krishna. Immense devotion towards Krishna. And one fine day, this headman of this village has to travel to Vrindavan. And when he was traveling to Vrindavan, this boy accompanied him to help him, this poor boy. So he goes to Vrindavan, and while in Vrindavan, this headman, he got some disease and he was in a very pathetic condition. And then this young boy, he took immense care of this person for days and weeks. And once this fellow was recovered, he realized that this is a good boy and he said, okay, I'll get my daughter married to you. Then finally what happened is they returned back. And after returning back, one day the boy went to the headman's house and they said, do you remember you promised me something that you will get your daughter married? And that very instant he denied. He said, when did I say that? When did I say that? Like, I'll get my daughter married to you. Quite interesting thing, na? When you are in the space of the divinity, you all act divine. And the moment you come out of that divine spaces, you again become humans. Again, the distance, the discussions, then everything comes into play. So when he asked like, okay, he said, I don't remember anything, so he's saying anything. Is there anyone who listened to this when I told you that I promised that I'll get my daughter married to you? Then this young man remembered that he told him in the temple itself. And he said, I don't know anyone who might have listened it or not. The only one who could have listened to this is Krishna. And then the headman said, okay, then call him. If he says, then I will get my daughter married to you. Now, is it really possible that Krishna comes and he gives testimony that, okay, you gave this word and now you have to get your daughter married? It was not going to happen. But still, this young man has so much of devotion and trust that he went back to Vrindavan. And going there, he prayed like, okay, oh Lord, I don't know anyone who could have heard me or heard him giving the promise, I don't know, and now he's denying. So what should I do? And he laid down there in the temple and asking for help. And finally, it is said that Krishna appeared in front of him. And he said, okay, I agree that I have heard it, and I will become your testimony. I will give the testimony that, okay, this person has given you the promise and he has to keep it. But he said one condition. And the one condition is, I don't know the way back to your village. Now see what Leela these gods would play. He said, I don't know the path to your village. So you do one thing, you walk first and I will follow. And he said, but how would I know? He said, no, you will know. Because he also wears some, what do you say, ornaments which make beautiful sounds. Right? And he said, I will walk, and he will anyway, by hearing that, he will know that I'm coming back behind you. So this person starts walking, and it is a long walk, and it is said that Krishna walked along with him. Kept on walking, but after nearly about to reach his village, at the near just about to enter his village, he stopped hearing the sounds of the ornaments, and he became skeptical. Oh my God. He said, never turn back, and you just have to walk and I will follow. If you turn back, then gone. तो मुझे मुड़ के नहीं दे सकता. And when the sound stopped, this fellow was skeptical, walked a little bit ahead and said, oh, he might have forgotten the way or what. He has stopped. I am not able to hear anything. And that very moment he turned. And what he saw, the Krishna was standing there itself. And it became an idol. वहीं के वहीं रह गए. He stopped there itself. He said, the moment you turn around and look at me, I will be gone, or I will just become something else. And it is said like he became a stone, and then that temple has been built in that space. Yet after that also, he appeared in the dream of the headman, and he said that, you see, now I am the testimony. I am standing there in the mid of the village, testifying that you promised, and that's how you should get your daughter married. Because of you, I have traveled from Vrindavan, all the way from Vrindavan to near Puri. I have traveled on my feet just to keep the promise of the devotee. And now I am here, standing in mid of your village. Now tell me, have you told it or not? And finally, it is said that the headman agreed, and he got his daughter married, and there the temple was built, which is known as the Sakshi Gopal. Sakshi means the witness, and Gopal means the Krishna. And that's how the name of the village came. And the person who married, like that young man, became the first priest to that temple. And their lineage is still continuing. And I somehow came to know that they were my very distant relatives. And I also visited that place, and we were there in that temple, a very beautiful space. So if you look at the image of Krishna there, like the smile it has is like amazing. And 2-3 times I got the it was more than 3, 2 to 3 times I visited that place, and I was allowed to be into the Garbhagudi because they were our relatives. You get some kind of references, and good things happen to you. So that's a beautiful place. But why did I tell you this story? The telling of the story was nothing else but, you see, that on the calling of the devotee, the Krishna walked all this space. And now today we are calling upon a beautiful, beautiful incarnation of God. And if you call, it will appear. And today, through these words, through these discussions, शायद हमारे बातों के जरिए, through our words, through our expression, we might come to know who was Chaitanya really, and who was actually so beautiful. And now we will begin as to how Chaitanya came into play of this world. One fine day, the all the friends of Radha, they were arranging something in the Nidhivana. Most probably might be only reserved for females on that day. But Krishna also wanted to be a part of it. He also wanted to see what these fellows are doing, but he was not allowed. So when he was not allowed, what Krishna did is he said, if I dress like Radha, they would not know and allow me to go. And then Krishna dressed himself up like Radha and went to Nidhivan. But when he was entering Nidhivan, Vishakha stopped him. And he said, where are you going? Then Krishna, with a long pallu, he says, don't you know I am Radha? I am the queen of this place and you are stopping me from going inside? Then Vishakha laughed and said, oh Chaliya, means what they say. Oh Krishna, you can dress like Radha, but from where would you from where you would bring the heart of Radha? तुम राधा के जैसे सज तो सकते हो, दिख तो सकते हो, लेकिन राधा का हृदय कहां से लाओगे? From where would you like that? Bring that up. And then Krishna said, what's the difference? And then Vishakha said, you know it better. And it is said in that moment, Krishna closed his eyes and started thinking about Radha, and he became Radha. काले पे सफेद रंग चढ़ गया. क्या कहते हैं? काले पे सफेद रंग चढ़ गया, मतलब कृष्ण के रंग के ऊपर राधा का रंग ऐसे चढ़ गया कि कृष्ण राधा जैसे दिखने लगे. And that's where came the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It is said like he was Radha from outside and Krishna within. And one fine day, Radha was dreaming itself. And in her dream, she saw that both Krishna and Radha becoming one. And in that space, Radha came to running towards Krishna and said, what is this? I saw a very tall looking, very golden complexion person, but it feels like you and me are all together in that one form. What is that? And then Krishna said, that's what we will become. And he will see that Leela as well. And that's how it is said, like he came in this form. But another beauty of this form was in all the previous avatars. If you look at the avatar of Krishna, if you see the avatar of Rama, they all came and they also liberated, right? जैसे रावण, कुंभकर्ण, or Hiranyaksh, Hiranyakashipu. See, all these things were killed. So all these were killed and liberated. But in this particular form, it was very different. इसमें ये जो अवतार है इनका, इसमें उन्होंने मार के नहीं, सुधार के मुक्ति दी है. He did not kill, he just transformed them for mukti. Now you all realize what is the importance of this space. यहाँ पे मार के नहीं, सुधार के आपको मुक्ति दी जा सकती है. If you listen to this again, if it was the Satya Yuga, even Ram had to kill Ravana to give him the mukti. Even in the Dwapara, Krishna had to kill Kansha in order to give him the mukti. But here, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in the Kali Yuga, where he said, it's not by killing, it by transformation your mukti is possible. तुम्हें मार के नहीं, तुम्हें सुधार के मुक्ति दी जा सकती है. So are you in the right place? Are you in the right time? And I believe, why not? At least you will not die to get liberated. In your transformation, your liberation is possible. And that's what is the promise that has been given. So in this way, we begin this story or the Leelas of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He was born in the year 1486. Now, you cannot say that, oh, it might be a story. No, the dates are also there. So in the year 1486, he took birth in a place called as Nadia, Navadvipa. Nadia Navadvipa became a profound place. Earlier, it was very well known for its educational system. Just like Nalanda, it was also a great place of education, Nadia Navadvip. And they were very much well known for logic, means Navya Nyaya. Pehle there was one logical school that was known as the Nyaya school of logic, but later on they started the movement called as the Navya Nyaya. And Navya Nyaya became the very, very typical space, because Navya Nyaya means all that they used to, in order to know God, they use logic. So through logic only they would come to a conclusion. Every time there would be argument in the form of logic, not with hands. So that was known as the space of Navya Nyaya. But after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took birth there, so certainly things will change. I will let you know how. So he was born in the year 1486 in a Brahmin family, quite similar to like my father's name. His father's name was Jagannath Mishra. And then his mother's name was Sachi Devi. So to both of them, this boy took birth in the family of this Brahmin family. And when he took birth in their household, in the mid of the house, he took birth actually near a neem tree. And that's why he was named as Nimai. And when Nimai was born, his complexion was not white, not black, he was golden in color. Now just think of, you create a statue of pure shining gold, how it would look. He was looking like that. And when people, for the first instance, when they saw, they instantly fall in love with it. And now with the earlier instance, you might be knowing why he looked so attractive. Now just think, if Radha itself is the epitome of beauty and Krishna itself is the epitome of attraction, both coming together, what would happen to you? So that was the condition of the people at that time. The moment they saw Nimai, they could not believe their eyes, like how beautiful this kid was, how beautiful this infant was. So just like Krishna, every single day people used to rush, complete their work and run to their home just to hold him. And Nimai slowly started growing into a very, very mischievous child. Very mischievous, not just a normal regular boy. Oh, धवल जी कहते हैं ना कि तुलसी का पत्ता दो पत्ते से ही समझ में आ जाता है कि ये तुलसी का पत्ता है. So similarly, when he has the qualities of Krishna in him, he has to showcase something. And he started doing all the similar kind of leelas that Krishna used to do. There is a very beautiful story where it goes like, there was once, he was a small little infant and his mother decorated him with all the ornaments for some occasion. And he was playing in his, nearby his house, only the outside of his house. a thief saw him. And the thief, he thought like, if I go and try to take the ornaments, it would take a lot of time. So what he did, instead of removing the ornament, he took the baby away and ran away. The first instant of he being stolen. And in order to run away from the village, he started running. But to his ultimate dismay, he could not realize what he was doing. He ran around, and finally came in front of his house only. उसको विस्मित हो गया. He could not realize the path. He didn't knew what was happening to him. He ran all around, and all that he could find is he would end up at the house of the little boy. निमाई के घर के सामने आके पहुंच, जितना भी भागा हर समय आके इसके घर के सामने पहुंच जाए. And finally he has to give the kid away. But it is said that that was the moment he transformed. The touch of Nimai transformed him. That was his first miracle that he did. That the thief transformed himself, like with just by his touch, he transformed into a great saint. And he completed his entire life being a sage. That was the first instance of Nimai's magic that was unfolded. And yes, as he was growing up, he was growing more and more beautiful in that space. And everyone that would look at him, they would just get mesmerized. And by the age when he was around, see, all good things don't happen in life, right? There are tragic stories. He had an elder brother. His elder brother's name was Vishwarupa. And Vishwarupa, at a very young age, he left his home and became a wandering sage. बहुत बचपन में ही वो घर छोड़ के चला गया. And the parents were very worried that, oh, our elder son went off. What would happen if this boy goes? Because his signs were similar. So what they did, they put him into education. And he got the best of the educations because it was the hub of education at that time. And he became a great logician. Now think of logic and bhakti. They don't go together. Either you are logical or you are in the path of bhakti. A bhakt being logical, quite not a bhakti yet. So what happened there is he started learning, and by the age, and he became actually a very proficient person in Sanskrit as well as Navya Nyaya. And if you ask him about God, he would discard it with all the logic. And that was the condition of Nimai. And slowly, when he was growing up, he was around like 13 or something, when he lost his father. His father got some illness and he passed away. And now the elder brother is not there. The father also passed away. And now only they were left out was Sachi Devi and Nimai. And Sachi Devi tried her best to take care of him. And also Nimai took the responsibility to run the household. So at a very young age, at around like 14 or 15 years, he started his own school, where he used to teach, where not only small kids, but others, those who were elder than him, they used to come and read. Because by that time, he was a very established person in that space. And he was known as Nimai Pandit. Because he was so proficient. And his one of his initial teachers, who was none other than Vasudeva Sarvabhaumya. He used to teach them, and he used to teach this Navya Nyaya and Sanskrit. And one fine day, there was another person, one of his friends, who's Nimai's friend, whose name was Raghunath. He was a very, very intelligent fellow, but no match to Nimai. Until Nimai went to that school, he was the first ranker. The day Nimai went there, everything changed. Because there was a very typical, very difficult question that was asked to Raghunatha, and he took few hours to solve that. And when that question was given to Nimai, he solved it in an instant. Just did that. But yet they were both good friends. And at that time, uh, during that young age, uh, Nimai started writing a book on grammar of Sanskrit. And when he started writing that grammar of Sanskrit, and there were a lot of poems and all those things, I believe, like what he started writing in that. One fine day, his friend also, he was also writing the same, similar, something like that. Raghunatha was also writing something similar to that. And one fine day, when Raghunath came to know that Nimai is also writing a book, and he knew that he is much more intelligent than him, one evening he came to his home and said, I heard that you are writing a book. And Nimai said, yes. And then Raghunath said, can I read that book, whatever you have written? Then Nimai said, obviously, why not? So Nimai said, why to sit here? Let's go to the river. We will be sitting nearby the river and we will read it. And then it is said both Nimai and Raghunath went near the river and he gave the book. Nimai handed the book what he has written by that time. And reading the book, Raghunath started crying. He said, see that this is where we say history repeats. He started crying and Nimai said, why are you crying? He said, after reading your book, I don't think anybody will ever even touch the book that I am writing. And in that very instant, Nimai took the book away and threw it into the river. You remember the similar story happened at one time again, earlier also, with Hanuman and Tulsidas. So similar kind of story that happened, and that showed like how much he actually loved his friend, and he said, it's of no use if I'm losing on my friend. And in that space, many changes happened, but I will slowly move to next phase of his life. And one fine day, as his father has died, you all know that many people travel to Gaya, both Gaya in Bihar, where they do the last rituals for their ancestors and parents. So one fine day when he went to Gaya to do the Pinddan, after doing that, he went to a Krishna temple. And the moment he saw Krishna, he could not bear himself and something transformed him within him. And while he was there, he could hear some songs, the songs of the gopis, being chanted by a group. And songs of the gopis are like, even if you get hold of one song and if you start singing, you would go into ecstasy. And that the song that we sing of Brisavanu Nandini, that's one of the songs that the gopis used to sing for Radha. And then when he heard this, he just started running towards it. And what he found was, there was one person who became his first guru of Nimai, known as Ishwarapuri. And when Ishwarapuri saw him, by seeing him itself, he realized that he's not just some little young boy. And when Nimai asked him to be initiated, and Ishwarapuri, he initiated him with the mantra of Krishna. And the moment he starts taking that mantra, he would go into ecstasy and he would literally become unconscious, falling on the ground. That was his condition. And when many of us say like, oh my God, what am I doing when I'm chanting the mantras, or when I see a deity, or when I look at something, I start crying. I start feeling like, oh my God, what's happening to me? I just lose the consciousness about time and all those things. And when you people say that to me and you say, is this a problem? I say, this is not problem. This is the grace that you people have on you. Because without grace, all these things cannot happen. ऐसे चीजें हो ही नहीं सकती जब तक आपके ऊपर किसी की कृपा ना बन जाए. So when this happened, like he used to go to, and then he said like, okay, so I'm staying here, I'm not going anywhere. But yet Ishwarapuri said, no, 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 Nimai, this is not your place now. Your work is to go back to Nadia Navadvip and spread the name of the Lord. तुम्हें ये राधा और कृष्ण के नाम को वहां प्रचार करना है, तुमको वहां जाना पड़ेगा. You have to go back. And as he has accepted him as his guru, so he started coming back. And like he was he studied as Navyanaya, means the school of logic. And then when he returned back to his school, as we do, like every time we start any studies, we take the name of gods, right? कभी हम गणेश का नाम लेते हैं, कभी गुरुओं का नाम लेते हैं, कभी इष्ट देवी देवताओं का नाम लेके, सरस्वती का नाम लेके शुरू करते हैं, राइट? वी स्टार्ट विथ ए प्रेयर. It such happened that when he reached his school to teach logic, the first thing he would do is he would take the name of Krishna, and that very moment he would lose himself. And instead of teaching logic, he would start singing and dancing about name of Krishna. Then the students used to wait like, okay, what's going on? And then after some time they would say, he would stop and say, what happened? No, you are not teaching, you are just singing and dancing. And then he used to come to realize, oh, and then he said, give up all this logic. What we would have to do with logic? It's better to take the name of Krishna, dance and sing. And that's how his school dissolved. But his students were so ecstatic in his presence that they also started following him. And then began the first space where they learnt this art of calling as kirtanas. And they started roaming around the entire village, and they used to sing, they used to dance, and they would used to go into ecstasy by the singings. And then we all know the greatest Mahamantra that is ever available, the 26 syllable Mahamantra, which is not only famous in Nadia, not only famous in India, but the entire world has started chanting that through the movement of Krishna consciousness or the ISKCON mission. And we all know, let's all chant that once, as if you all are walking through the dusty village of that Nadia Navadvipa. And you are not caring about the soil, you are not caring about the dust that's all around. Because everybody, when you dance and the fine soil of that space, they just fly in the air and they just fall on you. And yet you are ecstatic in the name of Krishna. And then please close your eyes and let's chant for some time, only if you are not driving. So the Maha Mantra that he created was Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. But do you want to read it? You want to chant it? Or you want to sing it? Is up to you. Because these things will just create the space for what I am going to speak next. So let us all chant together in a very, very, might be a fine-tuned way. With whatever way I can sing, let me sing this. And let us just try to dive into that space where you also just, you might have seen when they used to dance, their hands were not down, their hands were all up. And there they start dancing, taking the chanting the name of Radha, they chanting the name of Krishna and the Mahamantra. And in that space, if you really want to dive deep into that space, you will feel to raise your hand in some time. And when you feel like raising your hand, don't stop it, because if you stop that, you will stop the movement itself. So here goes the little chanting of the Mahamantra or the singing of the Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So now I will slowly sing it further, and in a loop it will go, and slowly it will go into heights of it. And in that space, I want you to reach out to the deepest corner of your heart and sing it from there, where you would actually feel the presence of the dance that is happening in the Navadvipa, where they are so ecstatic about the name of the Lord that they forget everything, they lose themselves, and only thing that is left out is nothing else but the Lord itself. What would be a great space to lose your own self and to become the divine? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. वृषभानुनन्दिनी रमयितारोहिणी, वृषभानुनन्दिनी रमयितारोहिणी, कानुमनमोहिनी राधे, कानुमनमोहिनी राधे, जय राधे की राधे कृष्ण, जय राधे की राधे, जय राधे की राधे कृष्ण, जय राधे की राधे. So slowly this movement became so ecstatic and so amazing that the entire village, anyways, they were all Vaishnavas, and the entire village, instead of just worshipping the way they used to worship, they all started dancing and chanting around, and it became like a movement in itself. And Chaitanya used to run into the village losing himself so many times into that ecstasy. And by that time, Chaitanya has grown up into a very young man and very tall with a golden complexion and like a taller than everyone in the entire village. Taller by a hand, like a 1 other feet or so. And he used to be like the walking god in that space. One, the way he looked, the towering height that he had, and the way he used to sing, and the way he used to go and lose himself into that ecstasy. That was like seeing the Lord dancing or doing the rasa itself in that bhumi of Nadia Navadvipa. And slowly, when they were doing this, one fine day, there was one person who was a very scholarly person of the Navyanyaya, a very logical person, a logician. And he said, this fellow, some time ago, he used to talk about logic, and now he has lost it everything. This is blasphemy. What is he doing? He's just creating a chaos in the entire village, and they are not allowing anybody to sit, sleep, eat, or do anything. The entire day and night, they are just jumping around like, you know the word. And then one fine day, he stopped Nidmai and said, what's gone into you? You were such a great scholar, you were such a great teacher. Where have you lost yourself? And that very moment when he stopped him, Nimai stopped for a moment, because by that time, through his color and description, people have started calling him Gaura because of his Varna. So he was being known as Gaura. But where did this Gaura come from? Ga comes from Gopala and Ra comes from Radha, and that's how he became Gaura. And when he stopped him, and Gaura stopped for a moment and just looked at him, and in that moment, that logician, he had a vision of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And when he saw him, what he saw him in the rupa of the Sadabhuja, means with 6 hands. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the only incarnation where the Sadabhuja is seen. That was his very typical quality. When he saw that the upper 2 hands were holding a bow and an arrow that was indicating Ram. In the middle hand, he was holding the bansuri, the flute, which was indicating Krishna. And in the last 2 hands, that the lower hands, in one hand there was a kamandalu, and in the other hand there was a staff, danda and kamanda. So he was handling that. And the very moment he saw him in that space, he was just taken aback, and he could realize that this is not just a normal being. And he fell down at his feet. He lost all his logic that day and became a devotee. And he also started roaming around along with him. Then there was another scholar when he was Nimai, and he used to talk about logic. And one fine day, about when they were discussing about logic, no, it was not logic. This person was a very good scholar with Sanskrit, and he used to he was very well known throughout India for his creations of poetries and poems and all those things. And he used to go to place and place to just to debate and win over people. So one fine day, he comes to Nadia Navadip and met Nimai. And Nimai was very young at that age compared to him, and he said, I came to know that you are a great logician. Let's have a debate. Then Nimai said, what to do with the debate? You are a very well-known, profound person about writing poems and poetries and all those things. Why not do in that? Then he said, okay, let's do one thing. He said, what to do, Nanak? Let's meet in the evening near Ganga, the river Ganga. And they both met there. And it is said that Nimai asked him to compose something on the name of river Ganga. And it is said that very moment, that person was so intellect, within no time, he wrote down 100 passages, and means small snippets about the beauty of Ganga. And he now said, now tell me, what can you do about it? And now if you can find any error in it. And then it is said that Nimai, he did not only listen to the write up what he wrote, he remembered that everything within an instance. And in that moment, when he said, okay, can you find fault? And that very moment, Nimai remembered all the songs, and he stopped at one, the first instant itself, he stopped and said, in this particular sentence, there are 5 errors. And he counted all the 5 errors. Through the write up, means writing of a poem or a poetry, there are certain rules, and you have broken all 5 rules here itself. And he was devastated and he was angry because he was never challenged in this way. But that very night, when that person went to sleep, in his dream came Devi Saraswati, and she said, whom are you fighting with? I reside in him. How can you win over it? And that is said, like, he came the very next day and he fell at the feet of Nimai, and he said, he asked for forgiveness, and he also transformed himself. So these are the many stories of transformation that happened throughout his life. Then came 2 very typical characters known as Jagai and Madhai. We have talked about these 2 fellows earlier also. You see, when I was saying, like, this avatar of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was not to matlab maar ke nahi, sudhar ke jinko, he has given liberation. So here in this case also, see, all the incarnation of God, there are 2 villains. Everywhere if you see, there are 2 villains coming together. We will come to that, Deepika ji, who is Nitai. Okay. So when, where was I? So this thing stops. Okay. So when they were Jagai and Madhai, these 2 were Brahmin boys, but have pura bhrasht ho chuke the, means they have lost everything. They don't believe in God. They don't do anything. They used to do all kind of work. And they used to trouble a lot to the people, those who believed in God, and they used to chant. And one fine day, they were actually very, very notorious. So notorious, like that they would beat up people if they start singing in front of them. That kind of notorious. So one fine day, when these 2 people were going, and like this Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, one of his another friend, which I just missed out his name, but when he was singing and going, these 2 people, Nitai and Jagai and Madhai, came, and when they saw that these people are dancing, what they did is they started throwing stones. When they started throwing stones, one of the stone hit one of the persons out there. इसके सर पे लगा और खून बहने लगा. It started bleeding, and in that very moment, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was behind at that time, or Gaurang जिसे कहते हैं, he was behind, and that very moment when he saw that, he came into a rage. He was so angry at Jagai and Madhai that in that very moment, what Jagai and Madhai saw, that when from the sky there was coming a fire of chakra, a circle of fire was coming, which was looking like nothing else than the Sudarshan chakra itself of Vishnu. And by looking at that itself, they became so fearful that they fell at the feet of Gaurang, because he's also known as Gaurang because of his color. Gaurang means white colored being. So they fell at his feet, and they transformed so much by just touching the feet of Gaurang or Nimai, or he has so many names, by touching him, that later on it is said that they transformed so much that they used to go and lie down on the where people earlier we used to go to the river and take bath, right? So that वो एक जगह होता था ना, what do you call that place? You still remember that? Ghat. Nadi ka jo ghat hota hai. The people used to go to that particular space and they used to take bath and all those things, right? They used to, this Jagai and Madhai transformed so much that they used to lie down on that path and they say, please walk over us so that our sins are taken care of. They transformed so much. So these are the, like, the stories of his transformation. Like, so many stories are there. I am just taking out a few of that and just talking to you. But now I would like to talk about a very specific space wherein Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he always wanted to visit Vrindavan again. But by this time, he got married And he got married to a girl named as Lakshmi Priya. And now instantly, like when he got married to Lakshmi Priya, but that marriage did not last for a long time, because Lakshmi Priya was bitten by a snake and she died at a very young age. And by that time, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was not, might be around still in his 18 or 19 years old by that time. And then his mother said like it is pretty young, so he got him married to another one. And the other one she married, her name was Vishnupriya. See, all the names and everything is all connected to the same being. All indications towards that. And then when he got married to Vishnupriya also, and he still continued to be in that space. And as I said, no, like he used to go into ecstatic rounds of devotion. And it is said that there was, in every village, he used to go and do kirtans. One fine day, one person who was a very ardent devotee of Vishnu, he uh, arranged a function at his home. Okay. And when he was in the function of his home, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, by that time, that was a very famous saying that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu don't go to everybody's house. Sabke ghar nahi jate the. And he used to go only to very few people's house. And uh, it was a wrong saying at that time. People started thinking that he was visiting the rich people's house actually. Okay. So ऐसा हो गया कि चैतन्य महाप्रभु जो थे सिर्फ बड़े बड़े लोगों के घर में जाते हैं, जो पैसे वाले लोग हैं उनके घर में जाते हैं, और किसी घर गरीब लोगों के घर नहीं जाते. So people started thinking in that way. And there was a saying in the village that Chaitanya only visits the people, those who are lakpati, means lakhs, those who have lakhs in their house, they used to. Now just think of at that 1400, and in the year 1400, what a lakh would be. And they used to think that the only he goes to the richest of the people's house, no other people's house. And then one fine day, somebody asked that you only visit to the rich people's house. What about the poor people that we are? And he said, why do you say so? And he said, no, we heard that you only go to the houses of the people, those who are lakpatis, then only you go to their house. Those who have lakhs and lakhs of money in their houses. And then that moment, Gaurang laughed and said, did they say you that? He said, yes. Now, Gaurang said, no, I actually visit to the houses of the Lakpatis, but the Lakpatis, those who are not with money, but the people, those who chant the name of Krishna a lakh times in a day in their homes. I only go to those houses जहाँ पे लोग लाख लाख बार का जाप करते हैं, मैं उनके घर जाता हूँ. फिर बीच में मैंने सोचा था कि I should start doing something like that. At least through that you will start taking the names of more and more. But then I became skeptical. You know why, Navneet ji? Because I know if I say lakh, you people will chant crores, then I will be in a trouble. I have to plan everywhere to run out. So I said, no, I should not take that risk in this group, because this group is much better than when I know you people. Because if I say 1, you will do 15. If I say 15, you will do 200. If I say 200, you will do a 50,000. If I said 50,000, you will do a crore. So I fold my hands. I will go to your house even if you chant or not, but it is good if you chant. So now coming, that's that story. Now he used to, I said, no, he was, occasion was there and everything was arranged by a person of the village, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was there. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in so much of ecstasy, and everybody was singing and dancing and merrymaking, and the names of the chanting of the cymbals and conches, that mridang and everything was being played. But that person's son, who was a very young kid, was not well. He was not in a good health. And when all this was going on, the mother of that child would take care of this place and again run back to see his kid, how is he, and also. And while this was going through, somehow the kid died. When this occasion is going on in their house itself, the kid died. And that very moment, the mother came running and told his husband that this has happened. But he said, if I tell this, everything will stop. So let us not do that. Let them complete this and then only we will do the rituals. And anyways, that kid has gone by listening to these names and in the presence of this divine being. So anyways, he will be taken care of. And they did not told anything. But suddenly Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stopped. And he called upon the father and mother of the kid and said, come here. And then they said, you are hiding something from me. And this father and mother said, what can we do? And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, why didn't you came and told that to me? And both the parents said, by looking at you, when the Lord himself is here, why and how can we just stop all these things in this space? So we wanted to stop. We didn't lie, but we are just waiting to tell you. And that very moment, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, don't worry, I am here. And that very moment, he again went into ecstasy, started dancing. And while dancing, he ran into the house. Ran into the house of these people, and everybody was standing outside, stunned why he ran. And he went inside the house, picked up the baby, picked up the kid, came out, and everyone was stunned because the kid was alive and was thriving with health. That was the condition of the devotion, and that was the grace that everybody experienced. Many a times the people, when they used to see him, they always used to start seeing him in that form with the Sadabhuja avatar of the 6 hands. And then he always wanted to go back to, when he always wanted to go to Vrindavan. But before he wanted to go to Vrindavan, uh, his mother was very worried that my one elder brother has already left me to become a monk, and I don't know where he is now. If you also go, and then what would happen? And Deepika ji, when you were asking about Nitai, Nitai was none other than what is believed to be his brother only, who became her mendicant. Like he used to travel like a avaduta for a long, long time. And then he also went to Vrindavan and he met Ishwarapuri, and Ishwarapuri told him, if you really want to see God, go to Nadia Navadip and there you will find him in his form. And then that person came back and he became Nitai. And Nitai, it is actually told he was none other than his brother itself. And then they don't connect him with real-time brother. They call him as Guru Bhai or something like that. But yet it is somehow known that it was his brother. You see, like all the characters in this were so amazingly designed, just like uh, the stories of Radha and Krishna. You see, in this also, he got married twice. It is said like the first marriage that he got, the Lakshmi Priya that he married, it was just like goddess Lakshmi came to this earth for a small little while to be a part of that Leela, and then she went back to do the Nitya Leela. And he got married to again to Vishnu Priya. Vishnu Priya was none other than like Bhudevi, means the goddess earth. And why this character was developed in this way was because Bhudevi, he because it was known that after some time Chaitanya would leave everything and go away. And in order to just think of whom by just seeing you become so ecstatic, and she has gotten married to him and he leaves her. How would that be? How heartbreaking, how heartbreaking it would be. So in that space, what happened is, that's why it is connected to Bhudevi, because you should have a heart of the earth to take that kind of pida, that kind of pain. And that's where this connectivity also is added throughout his life. So one fine day, when before he wanted to go leave everything and become a monk and go to Vrindavan, his mom said, no, no, I cannot allow you to go to Vrindavan. The only thing that can be allowed is at least you go to Nilachala. Nilachala means nothing else but Puri. Jagannath, because it was quite not that far as Vrindavan. So he said, okay, agreed to that. Then one fine day, before he goes, there was another person. His name was Srinivasa, I believe. Either a little bit of either it was Sridhar or Srinivas. There is a little bit of confusion in that name for me, but whatever, both are names of Narayan anyways. So this person was an ardent devotee of Narayan, and he used to do elaborate puja of Lord Vishnu. One fine day, when before he puts the idol, he created a stage where he could put the idol of Vishnu. That very day, it was like just a little past afternoon. That very moment, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was passing by in his ecstatic field. He came running into the house and sat on that space, the space which was built for Narayan. जहां पे नारायण को स्थापना करना था, वो आके वहां बैठ जाते. And when he sits there, he started having a burst of ecstasy. And that space is known as the Prakasha, Mahaprakasha Utsava. Means a space where he absolutely became the divine. And just by looking at it, first of all, this Srinivas was stunned, like, okay, how come he just sat at that place? But the very next moment when he looked at him, he realized that the Lord has listened to his prayer and has visited his home today. And then he was in his ecstatic burst out there. And then he started doing puja, and everybody was called upon him. All the people that they came, they could not even look at Chaitanya Mahaprabhu on that day. He was so ecstatic, so vibrant. And you all remember in the 9th day, we talk about the story of the banana seller. You remember that? The story of the banana seller. That was the same day when that banana seller was called from the village to be a part of that Mahaprakasha Utsava. But apart from that, there were many other things that happened. When he was sitting in his absolute pure bliss, it was coming to, like, it was becoming evening. People were all around and they were continuously feeding him. And you know, all the Vaishnavas, they are very, very fond of food. कृष्ण को 56 भोग से कम नहीं चलते हैं. And it is said, Sudhaji, that in one instant, there were so many people in the village, all that they fed him would have been sufficing 1,000 people. इतना खाना उनको खिलाया कि 1,000 लोग खा सकते थे, and he ate everything. And then when it was evening, they thought like we should do a arti, because the Lord itself here, we should do a arti of him. And then in order to do the arti, whom do they call? They call none other than the mother, Sachi Devi. And when Sachi Devi came, and when he looked at his own son, she could not believe it. And she did the arti, and after doing the arti, she just bowed down to him. And you know, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did something that is not even thinkable in the Brahma Samaja or even in our Vaishnava, this form of way of looking at it. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu just raised his leg and put his leg on the head of his mother. अपने पैर उठा के उसके माँ के सर के ऊपर रख देते. And the moment he kept the feet on the head of Sachi Devi, she went into ecstasy and she just fell there. It was like she saw the divine himself. And that very night, many, many miracles happened. And it happened many times also. One thing that specifically happened was all his very people, those who were very close to him. That day, you remember, he used to ask everybody, ask, what do you want? I will give you this. What do you want for? I will give you this. And all the people, those used to follow him, and he used to say, okay, ask, what do you want? And all by looking at him, they only used to say, we don't want anything. We just want your devotion. We don't even want liberation. We don't want anything. We don't want the worldly things. All that we want is liberation. Your bhakti only, nothing else. Everybody whom he called, they all said the only thing, that please give us The Vardhan that we can take your name throughout our lives, even while leaving this body. And then there was one person, his name was similar to like Gopala or something, his was name. And he was also very close to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But whenever he used to come near Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he used to say, hey, take him away. He cannot come here. Again, like he used to push through the crowd, come near him, and he said, go away. And he was so worried that why he's not allowing me. And then he just stood outside the house near a pillar and standing like this, and he started crying there. And then people asked, why are you crying? No, you see, he is not allowing me to come near him. What should I do? What fault have I done that he's not even allowing me to go near him? And then at least can anybody go and ask him when he would allow me to be with him? And then somebody went to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and he said that when would you allow him? He's standing outside and crying and he is asking this question. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, tell him in a million lives. After he has taken a million birth, he will come to me. And that very moment when the people were still like, what they would tell to this person, is already crying. But one of them gathered the courage and went to him and said that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that you will only meet him after a million lives. And the moment he heard that, these people thought he would faint and run away. But that very moment he started dancing. And he started dancing in such a way, people said, are you gone mad? Why are you dancing? He said, have you heard it wrong or what? He said, after a million births, he will meet you. And he said, at least he said, he will meet me in a million years. That's enough. And that very moment, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, bring him now. Now this is bhakti. Because he's not worried whether I called him or not. He was not even worried why I asked him to go away. He was not even worried that he was not allowed to enter inside. Yet he not left when he was thrown away. And yet when I said after a million births he has to come to me, he did not question what will happen to him in his million years, million births. All that he knew was, if I have said, he will meet me in a million lives. And he was ready for that. And this is bhakti. And I only did this to show you what bhakti means. And that was the Mahaprakash Utsava. I just will take a little back step to the childhood of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because I think like there was one more magical incident that happened. When he was a very little child. One fine day in their home, there was a puja arranged for Narayan. And there was a Pandit who cooked food in a very sattvic way, and he kept it aside and he did the puja of Narayan. And before he would just go and give it to the prasad, like offer the prasad to Narayan, Nimai crawled and ate it up. वो प्रसाद को खा लेता है. Then the Brahman says, what happened? This small little baby ate it, so I cannot give it to Lord again, so I have to cook again. So he said, okay, no problem. छोटा सा बच्चा है, गलती से खा लिया होगा. So he cooked again. So when he cooked again and everything was ready, again he came from somewhere and ate it up. Then the Brahman said, what's going on? He complained to the parents. Then what they did? The mother took Nimai and tied him with a rope to the cot. एक वो खटिया के साथ उसको लेके बांध देता है. The Brahman again cooked the food, kept it. By the time the food was ready and kept there, Nimai had already opened the rope and he came again and he again ate it. Someone says, what's going on here? You people cannot take care of this small little kid. How many times I have to cook? So the parents said, at least one more time. Just for one more time, you please do that. And this time what the mother did, this time he tied him up and hold him. And now when Nimai is tied and hold, when the Brahmana was offering the prasad and bowed down, what he sees is the Lord himself standing and not eating the food. He's just pushing it away like this. Just take it away. Now, when he is bowing down, he's seeing all this. He says, "Why are you?" And in his within himself, he's saying, "Oh Lord, what happened? Why are you not accepting it? And it's a grace that you have. I'm already seeing you, but why are you not accepting the food that I have made for you?" Then it is said that he says, "I came in the form of Nimai and I ate it twice. You could not realize it, and now you are asking me why I'm not eating. First of all, open the rope for this fellow. Allow him to eat, and I will eat through him." And this is how you see, like in how many ways, in how many forms these people can appear, how many forms the Leelas can be done. And then in the later half, uh, he goes to Vrindavan again and he just dances around. And he has a great contribution in reviving the temples of Vrindavan out there. क्योंकि बहुत सारे चीजें lost, it was lost in the middle because of the invasion and all those things. Many things were broken and all those things, but he was again one of the people, those who actually brought back everything into life in Vrindavan. And after that, he returned back to Puri. And after a long gap, like for the first time, like I think, he was coming to Puri for the first time. The very moment he saw the Neela Chakra, you know, that the big wheel, the Neela Chakra that is there on the top of the temple. It's a very typical process at my place that when we were traveling in a vehicle or bus or train, there is a place called as Chandanpur. And Chandanpur is a place from where it is still far off, like around 30-40 kilometers away. But you can still see that the first glimpse of that chakra from that place. From Chandanpur, you can see the spiral, the chakra of that temple. That is the first glimpse of the temple that you get. And by seeing that, he went into ecstasy. And by the time he reached Jagannath Puri, he just lost everything and he started running towards inside the temple, towards the Garbhagudi. Throwing everyone aside, he was running into that. And seeing that, all the pandas became very furious, like, how come he can run into this here? And they hold him tightly, and he was falling and getting up, and he still was trying to go near the the idols of Jagannath, Balabhadra, and Subhadra. And he was stopped. But that very moment, there was one person whose name was Vasudeva Sarvabhaumya. Vasudeva Sarvabhaumya, when he saw this fellow, he stopped everybody. By looking at his condition, they said, "Stop, don't harm him. I will take care of it. Don't do anything." And Sarvabhaumya was none other than his earlier teacher who used to teach him Sanskrit. He never realized that, and he used to teach him logic also. Later on, this Vasudeva Sarvabhaumya was invited by the king, and he became the advisor to the king at that time. And the king that at that time was Rudra Pratap. You know that the Puri Gajapatis, they still, at that time he was Rudra Pratap, and now we have Divya Singha Dev Maharaj. The year continues. So he stopped everybody and he said, "Okay, I will take care of him." And he took him to his home. And later on, he realized that he was his student. And by seeing his condition, this Vasudeva Sarvabhaumya, he said, he took care of him and he said, "What happened to you, my child? You were so logical, so well into that. What happened? I think like you have lost the touch of it, so I will teach you." So what he started teaching again the Vedas, Puranas, logics, and all those things. But he has already mastered that at a very young age. So when he used to teach, he just sits like quietly and just listen. Out of his humbleness, he would just listen. One fine day, this Vasudeva Sarvabhauma asked him, "Are you understanding anything, or are you just sitting there just like an something that not does not understand anything? Because I don't see you even nodding. I don't even see you smiling. I don't even see any reaction on you. Are you even understanding what you are saying?" He just looked at him and said, "Yeah, I was listening to the Brahma Sutras that you were saying. The initial Brahma Sutras were absolutely fine, but what you are speaking, I'm not getting the head or tail of it. I cannot understand anything." And that very moment, he got very angry and said, "How can you say me? I am your teacher, and you are telling me that you don't understand what I am saying." He said, "I'm saying the truth." And that very moment, he became so angry and he was about to hit him. But that very moment, somehow he closed his eyes, and what he sees is again the same being standing with 6 hands. He remembered the Ram, the Krishna, and Chaitanya. And that very moment, he fell at his feet, the Guru falling at the feet of the Sishya. That is another one more amazing space. These are like things to be very, ऐसे ऐसे चीजें ना समझना, उसको जानना, उनको मानना बहुत मुश्किल है. But you cannot deny this, because if I tell you about Krishna, you said, who saw him? But if I say about Chaitanya, they are eyewitnesses, those who have recorded all these things. So these are the things that cannot be denied. Okay, and then after that, he became the devotee of that. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to go to the temple of Jagannath. But when he used to go to the temple of Jagannath, he used to, by looking at the image of Lord Jagannath, he would lose himself and his body would start sweating profusely, and he would cry in ecstasy, and his body would become so heated up that it is unbearable by the people around him. And the people, those who have visited Puri, this time when we were there, I told you that if you touch to the pillar, on the pillar there is a place where you can put all your 3 fingers and you would feel the finger press points of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And that is the only place, if you look, putting your finger there and look through that space, you can see all the partial, and the 3 deities at one go. सुभद्रा पूरी दिखेंगी, बलभद्र और जगन्नाथ आधे आधे दिखेंगे. वो एक ही जगह है जहां पे तीनों एक ही बार दिखते हैं, और कहीं पे तीनों दिखेंगे नहीं. Either you will be here or either you will be there. But you know how that came into that place? It is said that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would become like that. That heat would so immense that even the rocks melt. वो पत्थर पिघल जाते. Many or very few people know there is another place in Puri. It's a Krishna temple where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went, and he went into so much of ecstasy, and he was in so much of ecstatic outburst at that time that he did a Dandvat in that space, and the entire rock melted in his form. His body, wherever his body was touching the rock, it melted and it took the shape of his body. It is still there. Like that much of heat that is generated. Now, many of the people ask me, when we were chanting this mantra, where we are doing all this, does it create energy? Does it create heat? What does it mean? It absolutely means that you are in the right path, because that space would create all these things within you. Okay, then when, oh, time is already there, over. Might be many things left out. Okay. Chalo. So he used to do all these chantings, and regularly he used to visit the temple, and he used to go into outbursts and used to go. And one fine day Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was there inside the temple, and it was a rush day. Some Ekadashi or something was there. One old lady from some village, she came, and it was so much of rush that she could not see the Lord Jagannath. You know what she did? She found, like, okay, Chaitanya looked the tallest. She started climbing on her. And all the followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu there, they were getting angry at what this lady is doing. And she is just pouncing on her and climbing on it just to see a glimpse of that. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was laughing. He said, "Stop, you. Don't worry." That's the bhakti. That is her bhakti, that she is not even seeing who is there or who is there not. She is just trying to have a glimpse of the divine. What did you realize of it? It might not look anything to any one of us. But when I heard this thing for the first time, I stopped for a moment, because it's a very common incident. Because you say, okay, there was too much of rush, so people were climbing, and so what is a big thing in that? But for me, there was a very big thing. You remember I told you once, like one fine day, I was also visiting the Ratha Yatra, and now they have actually barricaded. These things are not allowed, but at that time it was. And I was climbing. I could not take the front way, so I was climbing through the wheels. The wheels are giant wheels, right? So when I was climbing that, but you know my height, I was not able to reach out, because I also climbed to the top of the wheel, but still I could not reach out. But that very moment, I hold on to something. And I hold on to something, and I was pulled up. And when I reached out of what I see, I am holding nothing else but the hand of Jagannath itself. Now tell me, how is it even possible? The height of the chariot, then Jagannath is not sitting on one side, he's sitting in the middle, and I am hanging somewhere around near the wheel. How can I hold that hand? That was an instant, like, you cannot forget. Because how come, like, from where you levitated from that place, and you are holding, like, like his hands are like this big, and you are holding one hand, and when you wake up, you are seeing, like, oh, I'm holding his hands. How would you feel in that space? Just think of. It was like, cannot be described, that space. It's like he just pulled you up and said, okay, stand here. When I was talking about this lady who was climbing on the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu just to have a glimpse of Lord Jagannath, I come to a realization that, you see, when you have a deep desire to see the divine becomes the ladder. Do you understand what I said? You won't even realize that the divine has become your ladder. यू विल बी क्लाइंबिंग ऑन हिम. आप उसके ऊपर चढ़ के चले जा रहे होंगे, आपको पता भी नहीं चलेगा. आप शायद जब वृंदावन में जाते हो, आप जब शायद काशी में जाते हो, जब आप विश्वनाथ के दर्शन करने जाते हो, आपको इतना भीड़ लगता है, लेकिन वो भीड़ के अंदर भी आपको कोई खींच लेता है, कोई आपको ऊपर उठा लेता है. एंड देन इन दैट मोमेंट व्हेन यू सी द ग्लिम्स ऑफ द डिवाइन, बट यू फॉरगॉट द डिवाइन बिकेम द लैडर फॉर यू, द डिवाइन बिकेम द हैंड फॉर यू, द डिवाइन एक्चुअली पुश्ड यू, द divine actually pulled you so that you can see the divine. Can you see? The divine becomes the ladder when you want to have a glimpse of that divine. छोटा सा चीज है, लेकिन अगर आप उसकी गहराई को समझ पाओ ना, तो आपको समझ में आ जाएगा कि अगर आपके अंदर वो विश्वास है, अगर आपके अंदर, if you just create that desire to even see him, it will become the ladder. It will not bring a ladder. I didn't say it will bring a ladder. I said it will become the ladder. Yoga kshemam vahamyaham. He has promised, I will not give a support to you. He said, I will carry your burden on my head, on my shoulder. Yoga kshemam vahamyaham. So how many times have you experienced that? When the divine actually became the ladder for you? Might not be till this date. But from this day on, when you go and suddenly you find somebody pushed, somebody pulled, somebody just lifted you up, and you had a glimpse of the divine, what would you realize? वो कौन था जिसने आपको धक्का दिया? वो कौन था जिसने आपको खींच लिया? वो कौन था जिसने आपको उठा दिया? वो कौन था जिसने आपको गिरा दिया? At times you see, you cannot see him while standing, but if you fall down, you can see him easily. Have you seen that? कभी कभी आप जब खड़े रहते हो आपको दिखाई नहीं देता, लेकिन आप जब झुक जाते हो तब दिखाई देता है। इसका मतलब सिर्फ और सिर्फ एक ही बात है कि आपको अपने घमंड में जब तक खड़े हो वो दिखाई नहीं देता, जब आप अपने घमंड से झुक जाते हो वो सामने प्रकट हो जाता है। इट अपीयर्स इन फ्रंट ऑफ यू। There is lot many things about this, and but yet time. So I will just end it with a little thing how actually the life of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ended. Towards he didn't live long actually. He was like around in his 40s when he left his body. That's why you won't find any old images of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Every time when you see he's young and bright. And while he knew like his time was coming, what he did is he took a small place and in that between he actually traveled lot many places, especially in South India and all those places. He traveled a lot places. Everywhere he has traveled at, but it would take a long time to narrate because every encounter was such. Every encounter was a beautiful space. So coming back towards his last part of his life, he was so tall that he took his house actually. Okay, there was a place where he and his people would stay. He was so tall that if he lie down, the entire house would be filled. He was so tall. And जिसे गंभीरा कहते हैं. And there are pretty actually beautiful narrations, like one fine day, like after he was into the trip of South India, when he returned near the time of Rath Yatra. Before that, we all know like Jagannath would have fallen ill after taking lot of bath, and after coming out of that, he would go to see the people around. And there is a saying that if you see the Bhamana in the chariot, your mukti is guaranteed. There is actually Sanskrit sloka on that. कि अगर उस वामन को, means if you see the dwarf in the chariot, your liberation is. Now why do they call it as a dwarf? They call it as a dwarf out of love, daru. Then they called as Bhamana, because he is also the avatar of Bhamana, and at the same time you don't see his feet. Now just think of, without his feet, if he's so tall, if he stands, then that's why they are call him as a Bhamana also. So seeing the Bhamana and when it is said like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he came, like it was the chariot that was being arranged. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu divided his people into seven categories. Two in the front, two in the middle, and two behind the chariot. And they used to sing and dance. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would lead in the middle. And at times it is said like he would move so swiftly from one group to another group that they felt like he was all there in all the seven groups. As if he is available in all the seven people, means appearing in seven different places at one go. So there are lot of even if you love to read that, there is a beautiful book called as Chaitanya. Oh my God, Charanamrit. If you can read that has the entire thing. Many of the things have been narrated. So stories after stories after stories have been narrated in that. Chaitanya Kathamrit. Okay. So there is another book also, but this one is pretty common in our place. So coming towards the end, like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to live in a place that there he used to stay, chant the mantras and do the kirtan and all those things. And you know, one beautiful thing about Jagannath Puri, It's a very typical place. Uh, Ramakrishna Paramahansa, right? Ramakrishna Paramahansa actually visited many places, but he never visited Jagannath Puri. He never visited it. You know why? When somebody asks, like, see, he is a Bengali, and Bengali people actually, none of the Bengali people I know, those who have not visited Puri, everyone goes there. But he never went there. You know why? Once he was asked, you have visited so many places, why don't you go to Puri Jagannath? Then Ramakrishna Paramahansa said, because if I go there, I will never return. I will go into Samadhi never to return again. That's why I will never go there. And then after he passed away, Ma Sharda, right? Uh, Devi Sharda that you call, she came to Puri once with the image of, you see, like these things, with the image of Ramakrishna Paramahansa. And when she visited the temple, she saw the Lord Jagannath, and then that very moment she was carrying a photo of Ramakrishna Paramahansa, and he just showed him like this. These things don't make any sense to people. Especially the people of the world, they said, so what? He just bought the photo and showed it. Can you understand the depth of this? For me, he said, like, if you believe that you will merge into it, if you believe that you will merge into it, the divine will make sure your image appears in front of him. अगर आपने अपने आप को उसको बेच दिया है ना, वो खरीद लेगा. If you have sold yourself to him by hook or crook, he will buy you. What if? What if I was not ever able to go there, but still I know somehow or other I will be brought in front of him. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, one fine day, he actually rushed towards that inside the Garbhagudi, like twice only. That was the first time when he did that. And the second time was this, when one fine day he was sleeping in that Gambhira, and suddenly he woke up and started running. And all the other people started running, like, what happened to him? Why he's running? Because they all know, like, he would just go and faint and they have to take care of him. But this time, nothing. He just ran and ran and ran. Nobody could stop him. He was so, and everybody was just running behind him. And this day, he did something very unusual. This day, he ran and climbed the Ratna Singhasana. He climbed over the Ratna Singhasana. You know what Ratna Singhasana is? Ratna Singhasana is nothing else on which Lord Jagannath, Balabhadra and Subhadra as being seated. He climbed that and stood there. And it is said, within no time, he merged into Jagannath with his complete body. His body was never found. That was the Mahanirvana for him. Like, people ask, like, did Mirabai really go? Because nobody saw it. But here in this case of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, everyone actually saw that he ran. He climbed Ratna Singhasan And then finally, through his entire, with his entire body, it just merged into the image of Lord Jagannath. And that's how the story of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Leela of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I could not say ended, began. Because now the entire world still dances to his tunes. The entire world still chants the Mahamantra. The entire world still gets their eyes wet through his stories. I could not narrate so many beautiful things about him, but I would like to end this with one thing so that you people remember what it is. Once, uh, while Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was traveling to the south, he met a person named as Rai Ramanuja. And Rai Ramanuja, he asked, like, he was also a logician at that time, and uh, he was talking about logic. And then when he met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was asking, like, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked him, what do you mean by love of God? Now listen to this, because this should end this session for this day. You think, what is love of God? What for you? As per you, what is love of God? He said, love of God is to devote everything of you to the Lord. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, but that is quite superficial. Go deep. Something more deeper. Then he said, okay, then forgetting everything about and just devoting yourself to the Lord. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, still it is very superficial. Go deep. Then he said, okay, then it's like the bhakti of Hanuman towards Rama. That's love of God. He said it's not superficial, but still dive deep. Then he said it must be like Arjuna and Krishna. He said, no, 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 no. Dive deeper than that. It's still external looking as it. Then he said, okay, it might be like the gopis' love towards Krishna. Then he says, no, still something left out. Go dive deep. Then finally, he says, it's like Radha becoming Krishna and Krishna becoming Radha. He says, yes, that would be the bhakti. That would be the love of God. And later on, this actually became the source of the philosophy that you call as the Achintya Bheda Bheda. Means you cannot differentiate one from the other. And then, while telling this, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was saying to Rai Ramanuja that Krishna has three kind of Shaktis, especially in three Rupas. One is the Swarupa Shakti, that is the way he is, Sat Chit Ananda. And then he is his Maya Shakti. His Maya Shakti means whatever the creation that he has created, that's his Maya Shakti. And then the third thing of him is the Jiva Shakti. The Jiva Shakti is none other than all that we are. Means उनके स्वरूप शक्ति, माया शक्ति, जीव शक्ति, इसी से पूरा संसार चलता है. And we have forgotten anyways, we are him only. Because of the middle Shakti, that is the Maya Shakti. But he said, when you are saying the highest form of love towards God, the highest form means it cannot differentiate you from the other. There is no two, there is only one left out. That Shakti of Krishna is known as the fourth Shakti. And that is known as the Shakti of Radha, or the Shakti that you call as the Haladini Shakti. Haladini Shakti is nothing but absolute pure mergence into one. There is no two left out. That's the love. The highest form of love is known as the Haladini Shakti of Krishna and the Haladini Shakti of Radha. And that's why it is said, कृष्णा की हलादिनी शक्ति जो है वो राधा है. मतलब कृष्ण का तो सर्वश्रेष्ठ प्रेम हो सकता है, वो राधा है. And that's Radha. And finally, I did not want it to end with the mergence of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu into Lord Jagannath, but with this. While he was traveling towards the south, one fine day he was traveling and he saw that at one place there was a Bhagavad Gita going on, and there was one person standing there and listening to it and crying and crying and crying. Everybody was listening to Bhagavad Gita, but he was just standing a little far away and listening and just crying and crying. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu goes to him and asks, "Why are you crying? Is it so touching for you? Do you understand it?" He said, "I don't understand anything about Sanskrit. I don't know anything what is being told. But when I am standing here, all that I can see, when those words are hitting my ears, I don't understand anything, but all that I can see, that there is one Krishna standing and there is one Arjuna, and they are both speaking to themselves. I'm just listening to it, and I don't understand anything in that space." Now tell me, is it listening? Is it seeing? Or it is being? You can listen to so many things, but yes, when you listen, you see. When you see, you become. That's the process. क्यों कथाएं कही जाती है? Why these stories are told again and again? So that you recreate that space within you. आप उसके अपने अंदर उस जगह को बना सको. You see, as I said, no, it would be very difficult for you to even keep your eyes dry. I don't know, but it was very difficult for me because I don't know how many times I have actually, it just rolled down. So when you listen, you create that space. Then what happens? You see him within you. And then what happens? You become that. And that's the way. And when I'm looking at Rajanji and behind him, there is a poster that says Chaitanya Urja. And that's what Chaitanya means Sat, Chit, Anand, the extreme space of ecstasy, the pure, true self. And when you say Chaitanya Urja, that means the pure essence of energy, of love, devotion, faith, belief, being, that you can call as that kind of energy, the Chaitanya Urja. And whatever little things I could speak of. See, I could not do justice to his words. I could not do justice to his. तो मैं कहता हूं ना सुधा जी कि अफसोस तो बस इतना ही रह गया कि मैं कुछ कह ना सका तेरे बारे में मेरे अल्फाजों से. That's the only sorrow, that I cannot talk about you through words. वो चाहे शिव हो, चाहे पार्वती हो, चाहे सती हो, चाहे कृष्ण हो, चाहे राधा हो, चाहे जगन्नाथ हो, चाहे चैतन्य हो, चाहे आप हो. Even I cannot tell what you people are, because my words always will fall short of it. But I am yet happy that at least you people are there walking on this path. And may, as I started the session with, that he, the Sakshi Gopal, may the divine become the, जैसे सुधा जी ने पूछा था ना कि संकल्प लेना नहीं लेना, अगर नहीं ले तो क्या. मैं तो ये कहता हूं कि आपका भगवान आपका साक्षी बन जाए और आपके लिए आके खड़े हो जाए. And may you all be blessed with that divine grace, that your divine itself becomes the one who takes records of your devotion. आपके प्रेम के प्रति, आपके श्रद्धा के प्रति. And literally I'm so stunned because just a few days ago somebody called me and said that the summer is too high. It is so hot out here. I am sleeping in the AC, but my gods, they don't even have a fan. What should I do? I said, इतना काफी है. वो तो अपना ख्याल रख ही लेगा, लेकिन आपने जो उसका ख्याल रखा है ना, इतना सोचना ही काफी है. इट इज इनफ टू इवन थिंक लाइक दैट, बिकॉज उसे कोई गर्मी नहीं लगती, बट ही हर्ड योर पेन. You know what happened the very next day? It rained. It rained heavily and the weather changed. I said, जा, हो गया, सुन लिया तुम्हारी बातें, खुश हो जाओ, जाओ. That's what I say. You call and it won't listen. ये हो नहीं सकता. विजय जी, आज तक मैंने उस भगवान को जाना नहीं जिसको आप पुकारो और वो हाँ ना बोले, जिसको आप बुलाओ और वो उत्तर ना दे. आप उसको कुछ भी कहो वो करके ना दे. मैं ऐसे भगवान को जानता ही नहीं. माइट बी he loves me too much. Might be he loves you people also too much. That comes again and again in so many ways, so many stories, so many words, so many satsang, so many Q&As, so many ways you people visit to places, so many way he has appeared in front of you. But I only remember the same story of that old lady. ना जाने कितने बार वो मेरे लिए सीढ़ी बन गया. I don't know for how many times he has become the ladder when I just wanted to have a glimpse of it. But all that I have to remember, realize is who that ladder was. So thank you. Thank you for listening to my words with so much of patience, with devotion. I believe like I could not do justice, but I believe like it touched your hearts. And we relived the golden moments of the golden man, the Gaurang, the Radha, and the Krishna in one form. And you know why he came in that form? When Krishna converted himself as Radha, he said, "Oh Radha," because Radha appeared at that time. She said, What are you doing, Krishna? He said, I am trying to experience your love being me. मैं तुम्हारे प्रेम को अनुभव करना चाहता हूं, उसे कैसे अनुभव करूं? और राधा ने कहा, इफ यू बिकम राधा, देन यू विल ओनली रियलाइज व्हाट माय लव इज फॉर यू. एंड दैट वाज द बिगिनिंग ऑफ चैतन्य महाप्रभु, वेयर he was the Krishna within. And when he was chanting the Hare Krishna mantra and was going in ecstasy, what was he doing? It was the Radha who was searching for Krishna in so deep love that he loses his consciousness, becomes unconscious, and becomes ecstatic. Because in that moment, the outer Radha reaches out to the inner Krishna, that is he within. So may you all, I don't want you to lose consciousness. I just want you to realize that you are all that. So may this realization dawn upon all of us. May we all be blessed. May we all be continue to be devoted. May we all be continue to walk on this path. And may you all find that love. May you all get your liberation. भक्ति की शक्ति यही है कि आपको मुक्ति यही मिल जाती है. मृत्यु की इंतजार करना नहीं पड़ता. यह है भक्ति की शक्ति कि यही है मुक्ति. This is how it is. So, thank you so much for listening to me. Meet you again on Wednesday with your questions. And yes, literally the last week's questions were so amazing. So I look forward to meeting you again. So let's the words of the divine again ring in everyone's ears. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Radhe Radhe. हर हर महादेव. बोलो बांके बिहारी लाल की.